Hey, boys and girls, I have another card trick for you, something that you can perform for your family and friends, leave them totally stunned. It's very simple to do. There's no setup required, no special cards, no sleight of hand. Just simply uses a regular deck of cards, regular 52 card deck, and a volunteer. Having a volunteer perform this trick with you always helps to add a little bit of power to the trick. So what you're going to do is, let's say you're at a small gathering or whatever, you might have a deck of cards with you. If not, maybe the host of the party or whatever has a deck of cards. Have them provide you with a deck of cards, and you can have your volunteer come up, inspect the cards, make sure that there's nothing odd about these cards. They're just regular cards. Then you tell them, okay, look, I'm going to turn around. What I want you to do is I want you to take these cards and I want you to shuffle them as much as you want. Any way you want to shuffle, whatever your method of shuffling cards are, just get them all nice and mixed up. Just mix them up as much as you want and then let me know when you're done. So they say, okay, I'm done. Now you're still turned around. You continue to instruct them. Okay, now that you've mixed up the cards, what I want you to do is I want you to pick up all the cards, have them face down, and I want you to pick out 10 cards randomly. So any 10 cards, doesn't matter. You can even have them spread out the cards and have somebody else pick out a couple cards. Doesn't matter. Keep it as random as possible. What do we got here? Four. Looks like we got 10 cards now. We put the rest of the cards off to the side. Ask them to gather up all the cards and just make sure that there's 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. Now what you're going to want to do is you want to ask your volunteer to not say anything, but just scan the room quickly and pick one person in that room. Let them tell you when they've picked that person. Okay. Now I want you to think of that person's first name. You got it? Okay. Now what I want you to do is I want you to take the top card from your little stack of cards here. I want you to turn it up. Now that's going to be your card. They can show it to the rest of the people in the room. Now I want you to put that card back down on the top. So what I want you to do now is I want you to pick up your little pack of cards and I want you to think of the first name of that person that you randomly picked out. Remember, don't tell anyone. So you're thinking about that person's first name? Okay, and how many letters are in that person's first name? Remember, don't say anything out loud. You got that number? Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to start moving cards from the top of the deck to the bottom of the deck, one at a time, the same numbers as the number of letters in that name. So maybe they picked out the name Jane. Well, so they'd have to do it 4 times. Remember, they're not telling anybody, but they'll have to move a card 4 cards down. So there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4. Are you done? Okay, great. Put the cards down. I'm going to turn around now. So you turn around, and I'm going to just touch the cards, see if I can feel any energy vibration from the cards, letting me know that you've picked a card in here. I'm not getting anything here. Let me do it individually. I'm going to feel these cards, see if there's any special energy so I can tell which card was yours that you turned up. No, I'm not really getting anything. What if I take a look at the back of the deck? Do these cards look, is there one card that looks a little bit different than the other? No, they all pretty much look the same. I mean, this pile looks the same as this pile. No, I'm not getting any energy from these cards at all. Look, I'm going to need your help a little bit more. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn back around again. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to pick up this stack of cards. Now, earlier in the trick, I asked you to pick, how many people did I ask you to pick out? 1. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to take 1 card from the top of the deck, put it to the bottom of the deck. And then I asked you to think about their name, and I asked you to think about how many letters were in their name. Now, I want you to move the cards from the top to the bottom of the pile, just like you did before, the same number as the number of letters in that name. So they know the name was Jane. So they're going to have to do it 4 times. So Jane. Remember, they're not telling anybody this. They're just doing it automatically. Okay, so you can put the cards down now. I turn around, feeling the cards. Still no energy here. I don't know how I'm going to be able to find the card that you turned up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have to consult the magic gods. So at this point, you're going to do a little dramatic thing where you put your hands up to your temples, like as if you're thinking really hard, communicating with the magic gods. And you say, okay, you know what? The magic gods have communicated to me what I have to do to find your card. for some reason, I have to play a silly child's game with you called One for You, One for Me. So I'm going to take the cards here, and they're telling me I got to do it like this. So I got to deal one to you and one to me. So one to you, one to me, one to you, one to me. Keep going. One to you, one to me, 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 one to you. I don't know what the magic gods were thinking, but this doesn't really seem fair. I mean, you seem to have all the, majority of the cards here. I'm only left with one card. But I guess it doesn't matter because I've got the most important card. I've got your card. Okay, so now a tutorial on how to perform this trick. There's no special cards required as mentioned in the front, and no setup, no sleight of hand. So what you're going to want to do is have the volunteer come up, and so when they shuffle the cards, they're just going to do their basic shuffle, mix them up as much as possible. It's totally directed. They're going to direct on how random these cards are going to end up being. Then you're going to ask them to select 10 random cards. Doesn't matter what they are. I'm just going to pull them here automatically here. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Of course, you want them to do it as random as possible. Make it seem like they're really trying to mix things up. They can take a look at the cards, see that there's nothing odd about them, that it's totally random. Even ask them to mix them up some more, and then put the cards down. At this point, you ask them to, without letting anybody know, without saying anything, just scan the room and pick one person in the room and think of their first name. So they'll do that. Then what you're going to want to do is you want to draw the attention back to the cards again, ask them to turn up the top card, and that's going to be their card. And then you're going to ask them to put the card back down after looking at it, memorizing it, showing it to everybody else. And then what you're going to ask them to do is to pick up the deck and have them think of the first name of the person that they had picked out. Don't tell anybody, who it was or how many, what the name was. But you're going to count the number of letters in that first name and keep that number to yourself. But what you're going to do is you're going to move cards down, starting from the top, one at a time to the bottom, the same number of cards as per letters in the name. So it's 4-letter name like Bill, whatever. So B-I-L. And they're not telling anybody. Then ask them, you can just put the cards back down. Now you turn around, you do this little routine where you say, I'm not feeling any energy from the pile. Maybe I'll check the cards individual, feel for the energy, and you're grabbing each card. Now what you're actually doing is you're taking these cards that were in one order, and because we're putting them down like this, we're actually reversing the order of the cards. So now these cards are exactly in reverse order as to when I first turned around. Now the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to spread out the cards and make it seem like you're just looking at all of them all at once to see, you do a little routine of, let's see if I can see anything different. No, all these cards pretty much look the same. But what you actually have is these slightly separated. You got 5 cards here and 5 cards here. So you say, no, they look all the same, but these cards look no different than those cards. And what you're going to be doing is, people don't realize that you've pulled off 5 exact cards, put them in your right hand, and you're waving them around. But when you put them back, you're actually putting these 5 cards underneath. They started up here, but now they're being put underneath. And then you put that back down. Then you say, okay, you know what, I'm going to need your help again. You turn around, tell them to pick up the cards again, and say, just remind me, how many people did I ask you to pick out in the room? And they're going to say 1. Say, okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to take a card from the top of your little pile there, and I want you to take that card, stick it to the bottom of the pile. So they do that. And then I asked you to think of their first name, and you had to come up with the number of letters that were in their first name. I don't want you to tell anybody, but what I want you to do is, for each letter in the name, I want you to put the card down. So it's Bill is 1, Bill, I-L-L. They put that down. Say, okay, you can put the cards down now. So again, I'm feeling around. Still no energy coming off these cards. You know what? I think I'm going to have to consult the magic gods. So you do the routine where you put your hands up to your temple and you start to have this little fake conversation with magic gods where they tell you to play at this game called One for You, One for Me. And that's when you'll deal out the cards. But what you're going to do is you're going to deal out their card in front of them. Your card's going to go underneath the pile. So one card to them, one card underneath your pile, one card to them, underneath your pile, and so on until you get to the last card. You just keep going. Just before you reveal the card that's in your hand, you make a little big deal about how it doesn't seem fair that they get majority of the cards where you're only left with one, but it doesn't matter really because you've got the most important one. Anyway, I hope this explains this card trick to you. If you've done everything correctly, you'll be able to do this trick perfectly every time. Thanks for watching.